On July 1st, 2025, Earth was hailed by a messenger, a silent, terrifying projectile, screaming into our solar system from the heart of the Sagittarius constellation. This was 3I Atlas, the third interstellar object tracked in our solar system. Immediately, the official narrative began. It's a comet, just a common interstellar space rock, a routine event, quickly dismissed. But behind closed doors, beneath the veneer of scientific jargon, a silent, coordinated panic had begun, because 3I Atlas is not natural. It is engineered, and the evidence that it is a technological artifact is not just being ignored, it's being actively suppressed by some of the most powerful agencies on Earth. This is the story of the cosmic visitor, who has been hidden by agencies, had its data erased, and hints at a global cover-up that may prove we are not alone. This might sound like the opening of a science fiction movie, but as you'll see detailed in this video, maybe not. What's up with this supposed space rock? Why is there a chance this is an engineered object, a ship, and not just a ball of space ice? To get an answer, let's address the peculiarities of this interstellar object. The first oddity around our interstellar visitor involves the object's sheer scale and speed. When 3I Atlas was first detected, it defied every conventional model. This thing is traveling at roughly 210,000 kilometers per hour, the highest velocity ever recorded for a visitor to our solar system. That kinetic energy is typically incompatible with random celestial mechanics. A randomly tumbling ball of space ice should never be able to reach these speeds. That is, of course, unless the object is impossibly old and has picked up speed interacting with numerous stars, receiving a speed bump on every pass. David Jewett, the man credited with the discovery of the Kuiper Belt, said that for the object to be going this fast, it would have had to have been traveling for a very long time, and according to analysis done by Matthew Hopkins, an astronomer at Oxford University, that very long time would have to be at least 10 billion years. But the theory of 3I Atlas picking up speed over such a massive timescale would come into question. Early analysis by the James Webb Space Telescope of the gas plume surrounding 3I Atlas showed massive amounts of CO2, over 8 times what is normally observed. This is unusual, as comets typically lose their CO2 almost immediately when interacting with a star. This would suggest that the object hadn't interacted with a star before, punching a massive hole in this portion of Hopkins' theory. The off-gassing of CO2 gets into the next difficulty with the official explanation. As stated previously, 3I Atlas is putting off over 8 times the normal amount of CO2. This alone should be propelling the object with significant thrust. This would mean that the object should be gaining speed and altering course accordingly. 3I Atlas is not doing this. It is maintaining a constant rate of speed and not deviating from its course at all. This is unheard of in the tracking of natural space objects. This gets into the size problem. Observations of an object off-gassing that much without changes in acceleration suggest a massive body, incredibly dense, potentially equivalent to Manhattan Island in scale, weighing an astonishing 33 billion tons. The object is also putting off a bright sun-facing glow. This size and brightness of the object suggest either immense scale or a highly reflective artificial hull. These initial estimates were constrained to a tiny fraction of that size, minimizing the implication of brightness and scale. But as of October 2025, with the object much closer and more eyes on it, estimates are back to the original 33 billion ton range, with an estimated diameter of 5 kilometers, with some recent estimates going as far as 7 kilometers. If the speed and size weren't strange enough, the chemistry is downright crazy. When spectroscopic analysis was finally performed, the results weren't just anomalous, they were impossible under natural conditions. Scientists analyzing pictures taken by the Keck 2 telescope in Hawaii confirmed a plume of gas around 3I Atlas that contained strong nickel emissions, but with a striking absence of iron. This specific chemical isolation is puzzling for a comet. Why? Because in natural objects, nickel and iron are almost universally bound together. But there is one place on Earth where this specific combination, high nickel without iron, is common: industrial manufacturing. It is a byproduct of refining nickel alloys through the carbonyl chemical pathway. 3I Atlas is shedding the exhaust of industrially refined technological material. Speaking of plumes and spectroscopic data, in a highly questionable move, the European Space Agency placed an embargo on all spectroscopic data for 3I Atlas for 74 years. Spectroscopic data could reveal chemical composition, radioactive isotopes, or organic matter that defy natural comet formation. Most sensor data on 3I Atlas has been embargoed until April 3, 2026 by the ESA, but the spectroscopic data has been locked up until 2099. Why the embargo on the data? What purpose does that serve? That brings us to the object's physical behavior. It lacks the familiar cometary dust tail, and if that's not weird enough, there is observation of gas escaping in a puzzling sunward direction, an anti-tail extension. Comet tails typically extend away from the sun due to pressure from the solar winds. This behavior defies solar pressure. This phenomenon isn't usually observed with outgassing, but would be with directional venting, consistent with an internal system actively stabilizing or propelling the object. Another fact that may point to its classification as potentially a craft and not a rock is its trajectory. 3I Atlas is not meandering, it's on an unnervingly precise path, approaching from the general direction of Sagittarius. It's traveling aligned almost perfectly with the ecliptic plane of our solar system. An object randomly ejected from a distant star should have a chaotic, randomly inclined orbit, yet that's not what we see in its trajectory. The object is making proximal flybys of multiple major planets, with a close pass near Mars in October 2025 and a final rendezvous near Jupiter in March of 2026. This reads like non-accidental targeting and would be the calling card of a technological object collecting data, a surveillance probe. Furthermore, in late October, the object disappears, hidden by the sun, a window of concealment to perform critical maneuvers away from Earth's field of view. The move behind the sun was suspicious in itself, as according to Avi Loeb, a physicist and top researcher at Harvard University, the object may be performing a reverse thrust or Oberth maneuver. The point of this maneuver is to speed up or slow down a spacecraft when it is closest to a large object, since firing the engine at that point, known as the Oberth effect, gives the largest change in speed. Could the move behind the sun have been planned? And why do we not have clear, high-resolution images of this craft? Why were the results from the James Webb Space Telescope released only as abstract charts? And why did images from the SphereX mission appear fuzzy and pixelated? Why was the only photo from Mars released by NASA from the Mars Perseverance rover navigation camera, a camera designed to help the rover navigate Mars, and the worst camera available? Why hasn't NASA released any high-resolution images from the HiRISE camera, a camera suited to tasks like this? NASA blames the government shutdowns, but still released the bad photo from the Mars rover navigation cam. What gives? Unfortunately, NASA has a history of institutional censorship allegations. Meet Donna Hare. Donna Hare, a former NASA employee, publicly testified in 2001 at a National Press Club event that NASA personnel were specifically tasked with the routine airbrushing and removal of unidentified flying objects and crafts from photographs before they were cleared for public viewing. This would appear to be a systemic mandated policy. Donna and her testimony seem very credible, and that would mean there is a documented protocol of concealment. The current suppression of 3I Atlas imagery, the fuzzy circles, the chart-only releases, is the modern-day application of the very same censorship policy that Donna Hare exposed decades ago. Truths are being concealed from us, truths that would allow us to speculate more accurately on the objects of nature. But official stories often spring leaks. One such leak is an alleged internal NASA memo dated August 2nd, 2025, classified Level 5 clearance required, which seems to confirm the worst. I couldn't find any information confirming this leak as genuine, but I thought it was interesting to include. It was dumped onto anonymous image boards in September and is wild if legitimate. The alleged confidential document explicitly states that the object is non-natural in origin and is determined to be under active vector control. The memo details irrefutable evidence of technological manipulation, that telemetry detected an instantaneous thrust event, an unscheduled vector deviation inconsistent with Newtonian physics, which would confirm active propulsion, that surface scans revealed a reflectivity index comparable only to highly refined metallic alloys, and most crucially, the object was confirmed to be actively transmitting a signal on the critical hydrogen line frequency. The signal was repeating a narrowband burst with a non-terrestrial coding sequence, or prime numbers. In 1977, a famous signal was recorded by the Big Ear radio telescope broadcast on the hydrogen line frequency. Discovered by astronomer Jerry Eman, who circled the reading of the broadcast intensity and wrote the comment, "Wow," beside it. It became known as the WOW signal. The WOW signal was a 72-second sequence, also broadcast on the hydrogen line frequency. And where do you think this frequency originated from? Sagittarius, the same section of space that 3I Atlas is approaching from. Very interesting, as Carl Sagan famously stated that prime number sequences could be recognized as emanating unambiguously from intelligent beings. A modulated signal consisting of prime numbers, a signal of this kind, based on a simple mathematical concept, could only have a biological origin, a kind of cosmic hello. Also, according to the alleged memo, the agency called for immediate damage control. The memo ordered the activation of Narrative Containment Protocol 9.2, named the Comet Disintegration Cover Story. They were told to suspend all live public data feeds and redirect communication to this narrative. But would our governments and agencies lie to us? Official cover-ups require vast, unchecked resources. This secrecy is tied directly to the intelligence community's use of massive, unaudited black budgets. Documents leaked by Edward Snowden confirmed that agencies like the CIA and NSA operate with funds dedicated to aggressive intelligence efforts. Donald Rumsfeld famously stated on September 10th of 2001 that the Pentagon, according to some estimates, cannot track $2.3 trillion in transactions. This is where the budget for Narrative Containment Protocol 9.2 would come from, a multi-billion-dollar slush fund designed to hide non-terrestrial classified material from the public and Congress. 3I Atlas may be triggering a global parallel military response. As the object approaches Earth, there are ongoing drone problems shutting down airspace in Germany, Sweden, Denmark, and Norway. A similar phenomenon was observed in the northeast US in late 2024, early 2025. These unexplained sightings, some of SUV-sized, others shaped like orbs, drones, erupted over the US East Coast, specifically in New Jersey and New York City. Lawmakers demanded answers, and federal officials offered only nothing to see here responses. President Trump promised answers to the sightings immediately upon taking office, answers that never came. What are these sightings? What is their purpose, and do they have anything to do with the approaching 3I Atlas? One of the most profound indicators that 3I Atlas is not a natural comet is the unprecedented activation of planetary defense protocols by NASA and the European Space Agency. Officially, agencies maintain that 3I Atlas poses absolutely no threat to Earth. passing at a distance of 1.8 astronomical units. For reference, this is about 270 million kilometers, which is over 700 times further away from us than the Moon. Despite this assurance, 3i Atlas has become the first interstellar object ever included in a planetary defense exercise. This mobilization, announced as a special training exercise conducted by the International Asteroid Warning Network, requires telescopes and tracking systems worldwide to focus intently on 3i Atlas from late November 2025 into January of 2026. This level of global coordination would normally be reserved for objects classified as genuine threats or extraordinary in nature. Yet the official stance is that it's just a comet. What is going on here? If 3i Atlas were a mere space rock, its inclusion in such an exercise would be a wasteful expenditure of resources. Instead, this training drill, which focuses on refining techniques for precisely locating and tracking the object, is evidence that officials are preparing for a different scenario, perhaps a sudden intelligent course correction, or the deployment of auxiliary craft by the object as examples. This preparation for a security incident is incompatible with the public-facing "just a comet" cover story. A logical conclusion is that governments of the world are quietly bracing for an engineered event, utilizing the training drill as a cover for massive military and intelligence observation directed at the non-natural interloper. In a chain of events that grows more bizarre by the day surrounding 3i Atlas, SETI, or the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence protocols, were updated for the first time in over 15 years. The timing of the International Academy of Astronautics, IAA, decision to overhaul its SETI post-detection protocols is a coincidence that seems too obvious to ignore. Given that the protocols had not been substantially altered in 15 years, this sudden update following the July 2025 detection of the actively signaling 3i Atlas raises eyebrows. The revision, which emphasizes establishing control over how accurate and reliable information is spread via news organizations and social media platforms, does speak to narrative direction. Furthermore, intelligence suggests that 3i Atlas is not alone. Leaks point to a vanguard of travelers accompanying the object, where the true scale involves up to 11 other comets that have been detected entering our inner solar system. This is not a single rock, there are many. Why cover this up at all? Wouldn't potential ET arrivals be something to warn the world about? Why would our governments and agencies do this? The ultimate reason for this deception, orchestrated by the powers that be, is likely not to protect the public from panic, but to protect their own monopoly on technological power and geopolitical control. Governments, institutions, and intelligence agencies, the same ones who ordered the comet cover story, may be aware that 3i Atlas is not a comet but a self-propelled, communication-capable, technological asset under active propulsion control. Disclosing this reality would instantly devalue human terrestrial military technology, expose decades of systemic censorship confirmed by whistleblowers like Donna Hare, and most critically, force the sharing of unprecedented world-changing reverse-engineered materials. Classifying and obfuscating 3i Atlas ensures that the spoils of this non-terrestrial incursion, the metallic hull, the propulsion data, and alien signal analysis, remain exclusively within classified black projects, securing their permanent supremacy over the general public and rival nations. This cover-up is likely sustained by greed and the fear that a superior presence would instantly render their terrestrial authority irrelevant. The extreme speed, the industrially refined materials, the orchestrated target-rich trajectory, the detected alien signal, the historical pattern of image censorship and institutional obfuscation, and the alleged internal memo confirming active directional control and comet cover story. This all paints 3i Atlas as not an accident of nature, but an engineered visitor. Its arrival has exposed a catastrophic crisis of transparency among our planetary defense and intelligence institutions. The reliance on exotic natural phenomenon as an explanation is a negligent cover-up that shields the public from a reality that demands immediate, uncensored disclosure. The only way forward is to keep demanding the truth. So keep demanding. Don't settle for half-truths and obvious misdirection. After all, the truth will set you free. Thank you for watching. Press the like button if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this.